Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this evening's update on Tropical Storm Debby. So, Tropical Storm Debby has re-emerged over the western Atlantic Ocean just southeast of Savannah, Georgia this evening. And taking a look at the latest cone, Tropical Storm Debby has maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour, gusts up to 50 miles per hour, east-northeasterly movement, and a minimum central pressure of 997 millibars. Taking a look at the latest cone for Tropical Storm Debby, as we go into 1 a.m. tonight, looking at a 45 mile per hour tropical storm with 60 mile per hour gusts moving to the northeast. And then as we go into tomorrow, 1 p.m. Central Time, Debby's going to start to re-strengthen to a 50 mile per hour tropical storm with 65 mile per hour gusts moving to the north. And then we're looking at a second landfall just south of Georgetown, South Carolina, as we go into 1 a.m. on Thursday morning as a 60 mile per hour tropical storm with 70 mile per hour gusts moving to the north. Debby's going to move inland, could be situated just southeast of Florence and southwest of Marion, South Carolina, as we go into 1 p.m. Thursday afternoon as a 50 mile per hour tropical storm with 65 mile per hour gusts moving to the north. And then, thankfully, after Thursday afternoon, Debby's going to really pick up forward speed moving into North Carolina, just southeast of Greensboro now, as a 35 mile per hour tropical depression with 45 mile per hour gusts moving to the north-northeast as of 1 a.m. Friday morning. So this track has actually shifted significantly to the west since yesterday evening's update. As we go into Friday 1 p.m. Central Time, 35 mile per hour tropical depression, 45 mile per hour gusts moving to the northeast over northern Virginia, east of Harrisonburg. And then as we go into Saturday now, Debby's going to race to the northeast and move up through Pennsylvania and New York State. And by the time we go into 1 p.m. Saturday afternoon, 35 mile per hour post-tropical cyclone with 45 mile per hour gusts moving to the north-northeast, situated over the Vermont-Canadian border near Sherbrooke, Canada. And then as we go into Sunday 1 p.m. Central Time, we could be seeing Debby all the way over eastern Quebec as a 35 mile per hour post-tropical cyclone with 45 mile per hour winds racing off to the northeast. So taking a look at our watches and warnings for Tropical Storm Debby, still have a lot of tropical storm warnings in areas like Savannah, Georgia, through eastern South Carolina into southeastern North Carolina in the yellow. A lot of flash flood warnings across eastern Georgia into south central South Carolina, even one in the South Carolina border in these green areas, a lot of flash flood warnings. And this is because these areas have already received 5 to 15 inches of rainfall over the last 24 hours. So looking at crazy rainfall accumulations across eastern Georgia and much of southeastern South Carolina already. Widespread 7, 8, 9, 10 inches. We've seen about 8 to 9 inches in Savannah. We've seen about 10 inches in Beaufort, and up towards Charleston, we've already seen up to 10 inches of rainfall. And the rain's just going to continue to fall over the next 24 to 48 hours across much of South Carolina and especially North Carolina. So taking a look at our key messages for Tropical Storm Debby, potentially historic rainfall across eastern South Carolina through Friday will likely result in areas of catastrophic flooding. Heavy rainfall will likely result in considerable flooding impacts from central to the upstate of South Carolina, western North Carolina, southwestern Virginia, through portions of the mid-Atlantic states, western and northern New York State, and northern New England through Saturday. Tropical storm conditions will spread northward along the southeast U.S. coast from northeastern Georgia to North Carolina on Thursday, or through Thursday. Tropical storm warnings and watches are in effect for portions of that area. A dangerous storm surge is possible along the coast of South Carolina and southeastern North Carolina from South Santee River to Cape Fear. Residents in that area should follow any advice given by local officials. And let's take a look at our projected rainfall accumulations from the Weather Prediction Center over the next 3 to 5 days, or 1 to 5 days. Looking at the northeast first, looking at widespread 2 to 4 inches of rain across most of Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, including Hartford, Boston, Burlington, 1 to 2 inches of rain in Portland. And then as we start going into these yellow shaded areas, we're looking at 4 to 6 inches of rain in areas like Syracuse, through southwestern Connecticut, and flooding will start to become an issue in the yellow shade area, especially in the light orange shade area. 6 to 8 inches of rain in the light orange shade area. In the dark orange shade area, 8 to 12 inches of rain across most of the Carolinas, Virginia, Pennsylvania, northeastern West Virginia. Catastrophic flooding for a huge area. And taking a look at eastern South Carolina, eastern and southeastern North Carolina, looking at 12 to 16 inches of rain in the red, 16 to 20 inches of rain in the maroon, and 20 to 30 inches of rain is now forecasted just northwest of Wilmington, North Carolina. Please take this very seriously, my friends, if you live across eastern South Carolina and eastern North Carolina. I can't stress this enough. This is going to be life-threatening historic flooding, possibly a once in 100 to 500 year flood event across the Carolinas from Tropical Storm Debby. So if evacuation orders are issued, please heed those warnings and follow the advice of your local officials to help save your lives from this kind of catastrophic flooding. And new development, we have 12 to 16 inches of rain now forecasted across central Pennsylvania, western Maryland, northeastern West Virginia, northwestern Virginia. We're also going to be seeing catastrophic flooding up here as well, and isolated areas up to 20 inches. So please be preparing for historic flooding up and down the East Coast from Tropical Storm Debby. Taking a look at our excessive flooding rainfall outlook now, have a high risk for today across southeastern South Carolina, southern North Carolina in the pink, a moderate risk in the red area into eastern Georgia, and then we also have a moderate risk for flooding across eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York City for an unrelated storm system up here, which is just going to make things worse when Debby moves up shore. Taking a look at tomorrow's excessive flooding rainfall outlook, looking at a high risk of flooding once again across eastern South Carolina and southern North Carolina in the pink, with a moderate risk in the red area, including Charleston, Wilmington, Fayetteville, Raleigh, Jacksonville. And then as we go into going into Friday, have a high risk of flooding once again for the third day in a row across South and North Carolina, moderate risk in the red. This is going to be Thursday. This is actually going to be for Thursday, but still, the moral of the story is still a moderate to high risk of flooding across the Carolinas going into Thursday. Going into Friday, a moderate risk of flooding across portions of Pennsylvania, New York, into Vermont, western Massachusetts. So we got moderate to high risks of flooding from Tropical Storm Debby for the next 4 days. So please make sure you're preparing now for extremely dangerous, life-threatening flooding up and down the eastern seaboard from Tropical Storm Debby over the next 1 to 5 days. Thanks for watching this evening's update on Tropical Storm Debby. Please stay safe and have a wonderful evening, my friends.